Good afternoon everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video. I know somebody said that they wanted to see some more low tier gameplay videos on my channel, so today we're taking out the Lorraine 40T. This is a French medium tank, I suppose you'd call it, with the battle rating of 6.7, a 100mm gun, which is fantastic by the way, and an autoloader. When this tank was originally added, and this goes with quite a few of the other French quote-unquote autoloaders as well, they were implemented into the game with a form of magazine system. So for example, some tanks you had 12 rounds to fire before you had to reload, others you had 6. You could fire those 6 or 12 rounds incredibly quickly, but once you'd fired off those rounds, you then had to sit through a 30 to 40 second reload depending on which tank you were using. That is now gone, and has been for some time as far as I'm aware. In this case, the gun basically functions like a standard autoloader. There's no magazine, you can just keep firing without having to do a long, lengthy reload. I like this. It may not be entirely historically accurate, but historical accuracy is not everything, and I don't mind this at all. I think it's rather good. This is an up tier, by the way. This is a 7.7 game. There are STB 1s in front of me. There goes a Leopard 1. Along with Leopard 1s as well. I would have penetrated that if I'd aimed a little bit lower, hit him on the side of the mantlet, but I didn't. That was definitely a ricochet. But due to the fast reload rate of this gun, missing at long range or bouncing just doesn't really matter. Especially if you're firing at long range, by the time the enemy player has managed to get their gun onto you, you've already moved off or fired another round and taken their tank out. The French don't get a lot of love on my channel anymore, which is kind of a shame. Hopefully this video will reinvigorate me into playing the French. If that doesn't, then the addition of the AMX-40 certainly will. Unlike a lot of people, I know Tiger Frost started playing the French and sort of stopped halfway. I tried to play as much as I could. I got the AMX-30, which is what I really wanted. Mainly because the AMX-30 has a little bit of a special place in my heart. If any of you here have ever played Mercenaries 2, shout out down in the comments if you have. But in that game, the enemy tanks that you'd fight were, I think they were called Jaguars. You had the Jaguar tank, and then you had the Jaguar Heavy, both of which were AMX-30s, but the Heavy had the 30mm, the 20mm coax pretty much, and ERA plating. I mean, it didn't work, but it was better armoured than the standard one, hence why it was called the Jaguar Heavy. They were awesome tanks, and the game was absolutely fantastic. You could just run about in whatever vehicles you wanted. You'd have tanks airdropped into you. You could completely destroy buildings if there was enemy players in. Well, if there was AI in them, you just destroy the building and let it just crumble around them. There was even a rocket launcher, which it was a Chinese rocket launcher, and you'd fire it, and a cloud of white smoke appears, and then the whole lot implodes. It's almost like a fuel air bomb. It's freaking awesome. I highly recommend you go back and play that game even now. I bet it's still just as fun as it was then. Anyway, getting back to the French. That's the reason I wanted the AMX-30. Once I got the AMX-30, I more or less kind of stopped, or at the very least slowed down playing the French. This isn't for a bad reason or anything. I just sort of continue playing other vehicles, other nations. When the AMX-40 comes into the game, I should be able to research it straight away because I'm in tier 6 now, so I should be able to, because it comes below the AMX-50, is it Surbas, the one with 120mm? It comes below that rather than below the AMX-30 B2 Breno. So with any luck, I'll be able to research the AMX-40 and do a video on that. I don't have any French high tier premiums, so it may take me a while. But one of the things I love about the French, their 7773 lineup is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't played the Foch, I did a lot of videos on the Foch when I unlocked it, most of which I imagine you've all seen, but if not, check out the gameplay playlist and go and have a look at them, because they are fun. The Foch is freaking awesome. It's like how the Jagdtiger used to be before the introduction of the Brits and Sabo rounds. That is what the Foch reminds me of, and it's fantastic. The weak spot isn't even a weak spot anymore, because most of the tanks you're fighting, they either fire Sabo or Heat, and in order to kill you by firing at the vision port at the top of your tank, like the rangefinder, which it's huge, you can't miss it, If you were to fire an APHE round into that, penetrate it, the round would explode after penetrating and the shrapnel would go down to kill the crew. That doesn't happen. That weak spot doesn't exist at that tier because barely anybody's firing APHE. So it's a fantastic tank. Highly recommend you play it. It's a lot of fun. I never seem to lose money playing the French at 7.7, which is probably the lineup I will use to attempt to grind out the AMX40 when it arrives, and grind out the rest of the AMX30s. I still need the B2 and the Plano as well, neither of which I've got yet. I'm in no rush, of course. I kind of enjoy playing them. The Japs, it's kind of the same story. Japanese, I should say. I want the Type 90, but realistically speaking, it's basically a Leopard 2A4, and I've got almost all of my German top tier ground vehicles, including the 2K, and I have premiums for Germany. So with any luck, I'll be able to grind that out pretty quickly. I have no top tier premiums, I might add. I'll be doing that same as I'll be doing the French. I'll be doing it without any premium. I've got premium time, but other than that, it won't be a premium vehicle I'll be using. So that should be interesting. We'll have to see how that goes. So I am now in the AMX13. This is the light tank at 6.7. I think it's at 6. It's either 6.0 or 6.7. I can't remember which BR this thing has. It's got a 75mm gun, 4 smoke grenade dischargers, which I'm using to maximum effect here in order to cap A. It's reasonably mobile, has decent spotting and all this, that and the other. The gun the turret rotates quite quickly. One issue that you have with the French tanks is the gun elevation. The gun depression normally tends to be pretty good, but on any of the tanks with an oscillating turret, like the AMX-13s, the Lorraine, the Serbas, etc., the bustle at the rear of the turret, which is where the magazines for the ammo would normally be stored, is in the way. So the turret does not elevate as much as you think it does, or as much as it should. Of course, this is kind of a first world problem deal in War Thunder, but in real life, that sort of shit could get you killed. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know this was a bit of a short one, but I figured I'd do something a little different, you know. Talk about the French, talk about the upcoming tank, etc, etc. And you have some low tier, more medium tier gameplay in the background. So thank you guys, like, share and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next War Thunder video. Cheers.